Okay, so we've talked about basic distributing and FOIL, and now we're going to talk about more distributing. So FOIL just works for a binomial times a binomial, and it's just a shorthand for distributing those terms out. So we can do it with more terms. We just can't use FOIL, but we use the same idea. So let's say that we've got something like x plus 2 times x squared plus 3x minus 5. Okay. And we want to multiply this out. Again, we can't do the parentheses first because we can't combine those terms, so we need to distribute. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the first term. FOIL tells us to do, first and then outer. We're going to do the same idea here, but we've got to distribute it to everything. Okay, so we distribute the first term like that, and then we're going to distribute the next term like this. Okay, and if we multiply all the things in the first group times all the things in the second group, then we've gotten all the combinations that we need to get to multiply this out. Okay, so I'm going to do the red ones first. I'm going to have x times x squared would be x cubed. X times 3x would be 3x squared. X times negative 5 would be negative 5x. Okay, so that's the first three. Now I'm going to distribute the two. Plus 2x squared plus 6x minus 10. Okay, and now we just need to go through and collect like terms. So remember, they have to be the same. Type of term to collect. So only x cubed can combine with x cubed. So this is the only x cubed that I have. So I'm just going to get x cubed. I've got two x squared terms. I've got plus 3 plus 2. That's going to give me plus 5. I've got minus 5x plus 6x. That's going to give me a plus 1x, or just plus x. And then minus 10. Okay, so make sure that you've collected all the like terms, and we've got our final answer. All right, so that's distributing more terms. Let's try a trinomial times a trinomial. So let's say we've got x squared plus 3x minus 2. And let's say we've got x squared minus 4x plus 5. Okay, same idea here, but we're going to have to distribute more. So we're going to have to distribute the x squared. Okay, so I distribute the x squared, just like we did before. And I'm going to have to distribute the 3x. Okay, so we take the 3x and we multiply that times the second group. And then we're going to have to take the minus 2. This is going to overlap a little bit because I got to go somewhere here. And then I'm going to distribute the minus 2. Okay, so we've got 3 different things that we have to distribute because we've got 3 things in here. Okay, so I'll do this color-coded so hopefully you can follow. So I've got x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. I've got x squared times negative 4x would be minus 4x cubed. And x squared times 5x would be plus 5x squared. Okay, so the red is distributing out the x squared. All right, then I've got purple to distribute the 3x. So 3x times x squared would be plus 3x cubed. 3x times negative 4x, that would be negative 12x squared. And then 3x times 5 would be 15x. Okay, so that's distributing the 3x. And then the last one that I need to distribute is the minus 2. So I've got minus 2x squared. I've got plus 8x. And I've got minus 10. All right, now we've got it all multiplied out. We just need to go through and collect like terms. I've only got one x to the 4th, so I just get x to the 4th. I've got minus 4x cubed plus 3x cubed. That's going to give me a minus x cubed. I've got plus 5x squared minus 12x squared minus 2x squared. Goodness, so that's going to give me, let's see, negative 7, negative 2, that's going to give me negative 9 x squared. And then I've got plus 15 plus 8, that's going to give me plus 23x. And then finally minus 10 is the only constant. Okay, so if you have things to distribute that are not binomials, you can't use FOIL, but use the same idea and distribute. Okay, let's look at a couple of special factors now. All right, if we have something squared, let's say we've got x plus 3 squared. Okay, remember your order of operations? You cannot distribute the exponent over addition or subtraction. You've got to do what's inside the parentheses first, then the exponent. Well, we can't combine what's inside the parentheses first, so we're going to have to use distribution. But you cannot distribute the exponent over this. So what you have to do is you have to remember the definition of an exponent. This means x plus 3 times x plus 3. This we know what to do with. We've got to FOIL this out. Okay, so when you see an exponent like this, you can't distribute it. You've got to FOIL it out. Okay, so we're going to get x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. Okay, so remember from what we were talking about in the last video, the middle two terms will combine, and we get x squared plus 6x plus 9. All right, now when you're doing these, okay, like we talked about before, the two numbers will add to be the middle number, and they're multiplied to be the last number. Well, because it's something squared, these two numbers are always going to match. This one here and this one here, they're always going to match. So what that means is right here, you're going to get 2 times that number, and right here, let's do a star, you're going to get that number squared. Okay, so you get 2 times the number in the middle and the number squared on the end. It's helpful to notice that pattern, it's helpful to remember it, but it's not like you have to memorize it to do this because you can always multiply it out. So let's try another one. Okay, let's say we've got x minus 4 squared. All right, so if we FOIL this out again, we're going to get x squared minus 4x plus 16, and the middle two numbers combine, x squared minus 8x plus 16. Okay, now look at what we have. We've got, all right, these are our two numbers. So negative 4, we've got double in the middle, and then negative 4 squared will be positive 16 on the end. So it's always double in the middle, square on the end. Okay, so if you forget that, just FOIL it out. But if you notice that, you can do these a little faster. So let's say we have x minus 2 squared. So we're going to get x squared. We're going to get double in the middle. Okay, so double negative 2x would be negative 4x. And then squared on the end would be plus 4. Okay, so we get the square of the first thing, the square of the last thing, and then double in the middle. All right, let's say we've got x plus 5 squared. So we're going to get x squared plus, okay, the product is 5x, so double that would be 10x, double in the middle, and then square on the end. Okay, so square the first, square the last, and double in the middle. Now, if you don't just have an x out front, this still works. Let's say we've got 2x plus 3. Okay, if you're unsure, you can always FOIL it out. All right, but we can use this pattern. So we're going to get the first thing squared, double in the middle, so the product is 6x, double that would be 12x, and then squared on the end. Okay, so we're going to get 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. Let's see if it matches the pattern. So the first term is 2x, the square is 4x squared. Okay, in the middle we would get 2x times 3 is 6x, double is 12. And then on the end we get 3 squared, which is 9. Okay, so that's kind of helpful if you notice that pattern for square, but again, you can always just FOIL it out if you're not sure. Okay, the other one that we're going to talk about, and this one you really do want to be able to recognize because it's going to help us later, and that's sum and difference. All right, so if this is if we have something that looks like a plus b, a minus b. And again, you can FOIL this out, but this is one where it really speeds it up if you notice the pattern. Okay, so when we multiply this out, we're going to FOIL just as usual. We're going to get a squared minus ab plus ba minus b squared. Okay, so just FOILing this out. All right, now if you look, the middle two terms, AB and BA, are really the same thing. So I really have A squared minus AB plus AB minus B squared. These middle two terms are going to cancel out. And that's always going to happen because it's the same thing with a plus or a minus. It's a sum or difference in the middle. The middle two terms are always going to cancel out, and you're going to get the first thing squared minus the second thing squared. Okay, so let's look at it with numbers. Let's say we have x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay, so FOIL this out, you get x squared minus 3x plus 3x minus 9. Okay, and you see here the two middle terms cancel out because we've got the O and the I are always going to be opposite. It doesn't matter which order this is in, sum or difference, different sum. You're going to have minus 3x plus 3x. Those middle two terms are always going to cancel out. And what you're left with is called the difference of two squares, the first thing squared and the second thing squared. Okay, so again, you can FOIL this out, but recognizing this pattern is really going to help us later. So try to start recognizing this one. So let's say we've got x plus 4 times x minus 4. Okay, this is a sum or difference. The two terms match, except one is a sum, one is a difference. So we're going to get the first thing squared minus the second thing squared. So we're going to get x squared minus 4 squared, x squared minus 16. Okay, we could have x minus 5, x plus 5. All right, different order, but still the same thing because we know we can reverse these. So we've got sum and difference. So we're going to get x squared minus 25. Okay, first one squared minus second one squared. Let's try that 2x plus 3 one that we did before. 2x plus 3, 2x minus 3. Okay, so we're going to get the first one squared minus the second one squared. Okay, because they're sum or difference. So the first one squared is going to be 4x squared, and the second one squared is going to be 9. Okay, so look for those sum or difference factors, and they come out like this. And if you ever forget, you can always multiply out like we did over here. But sum and difference is always going to give you difference of two squares.